Okay.
Um, Vova, you were working for a company in Kazakhstan last time I talked to you.
Yes. I come back in the beginning of January.
I see. Are you still working with that company at all?
No. Already no.
Oh, I see. Okay. Have you been back to your family lives in Donetsk? Is that right?
My father and my brother and my little sister.
I
in
see.
Donetsk.
So when was the last time you were in Donetsk?
Year ago.
A year ago. Okay. So do you talk to your father and your brother very often?
I talk with the father.
I see. Like every week, maybe?
A few times in a month.
And what about your friends in Donetsk?
I don't...
You don't associate with anybody?
No.
What about people in the church?
I associate with the people in the church, and they set apart. One part is for Ukraine, one part is not for Ukraine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In the church,
in the church,
it's divided.
Yes. The people in the church in the whole country is divided.
Mm-hmm. And when you say they're divided, let's say they're for Ukraine or they're not for Ukraine, what does that actually mean? Does it mean that they want to actually be separate?
I see this situation, they don't know what they want. Mm-hmm. One man said, I want to live in Russia. The other man said, no, I want to live in Ukraine, but I have the Russian like a second language. The third man said, the government in the Kiev is not legal. I want something another. I don't want Russia. I want Ukraine. The old people saying the different things.
Why do you think that is?
I think they watching TV or surfing the internet, but they don't have the minds, the old minds. Mm-hmm. They thinking like the TV or the internet. Mm-hmm. So
now in Donetsk, can they watch Russian television? Is it on cable, or can they actually get the broadcasts on their televisions?
I know right now they can watch.
I see.
There was a time when the Kiev government is
blocking it.
Yeah, they're blocking it. The internet, they can block the internet. So I think the people in Donetsk can watch Russian TV on the internet.
I see. That's interesting. So when was it blocked on the cable? Just
maybe 1 month ago.
Oh, I see.
A few weeks ago, they stopped the blocking.
I see. But before that, were they able to watch Russian television for years?
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Like the cable television. The most channels that you can see in the cable television in Donetsk is Russian channels.
Oh, I see. Okay. Now, why do you think Yanukovych left Kiev?
I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know who is Yanukovych.
Oh, no, Yanukovych, the president.
Yanukovych.
Now, how did I say that?
Viktor Yanukovych.
Yes, how did I say that?
You say Yana, it's the female name, and Kovach, it's a name.
Okay. Okay, so how do you say his name?
Yanukovych.
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 Viktor Yanukovych.
Yanukovych. Okay. Yanukovych.
So why he left Kiev?
Right.
Because he can control the situation in Rada.
I see. Why did he leave? Because he felt like he would be arrested, perhaps, or something?
Really, I don't think that I know the whole situation.
Right.
I think he was controlled from the Kremlin, and in Kremlin they have their own minds, mm-hmm. what to do with Ukraine. So they call Yanukovych to Russia and start the bad things in Crimea, in the Western Ukraine.
I see.
So that's I think he was. He's playing his own role, and when it's finished, they call him back for some reason.
That's an interesting idea, because just a week before he left, he was talking to Putin I think in Sochi or somewhere.
Yeah, before he leaving, 1 or 2 days before he leaving, he given the order to shooting the people. Like the people died in the Kiev.
Right.
And then he's running. Like I think this is has no sense. Like you decide to make a force with the Maidan, and then in 1 day you leave. Like he's scared or something. I don't know. If I will be like, if I will have an army and I given an order to kill someone, I will be not run.
Right. Now, so you feel that in Donetsk the people are actually split, maybe 50-50. Some are supporting Putin and some are supporting Kiev.
Like, I will say you that the whole situation. I was living in Donetsk almost 20 years. The most people in Donetsk were not living in Ukraine. They don't even imagine what Ukraine is. Like, they live in their minds. They have two Ukraines. Russian-speaking Ukraine and Ukrainian-speaking Ukraine. If you ask the similar Donetsk inhabitant what Ukraine is, he will say the Western Ukrainians, they speak in Ukrainian, they speak in a half of Polish languages, they're the fascist, Bandera, they're not Ukrainian at all, they don't know what it is. If you will ask what is the Western Ukrainian inhabitant, this is the Russian. He have a relative in Russia. He came from Russia. He speak Russian, think Russian, and all those things. Like before I traveled to Kazakhstan, I think that I'm in Russian because I speak Russian, think Russian, and live in Western Ukraine. But in Kazakhstan, I feel that I don't know even the Russian tradition. My marriage was in Ukrainian tradition. Like, I know the Ukrainian dances, traditional Ukrainian songs. So that's I feel that I'm Ukrainian and I live in Zaporizye. So I think the middle Ukraine is Ukraine. So if you want to see Ukraine, you don't need to go in Donetsk or go to Lviv. You need to go in center to see Ukraine. So here in Zaporizye, a lot of people speak Russian, a lot of people speak Ukrainian, and they don't have a war between. But if you will speak in Ukrainian in Donetsk, the people will look at you like that. Or you're the fascist from the Western Ukraine or something. So,
is that how it's been all your life, or is that just recently that they talked about this fascism?
All the time.
Really? Even before?
Yes,
before
like,
this situation?
you know, during the Second World War, there was a few battalions, Ukrainian battalions in Wehrmacht, in the German army.
Yes.
And there was from UPA, Ukrainian rebellion army. Right. So they fight. There was a nationalist. They fighting for freedom for Ukraine from Soviet Union.
Right.
So that's why all those people is calling the fascist. But there was a few Ukrainian nationalist organization, even with the same name, but there was a different. If talk about Bandera, he not cooperate with the Nazis.
I see.
His army is fighting with the Soviet army and the Nazi army, like in the two fronts. But the people, the similar people in the world, even don't have like, I don't know how to say.
When you're saying similar, do you mean normal people? Or people like something?
People from the street.
Right, just average person.
Yeah.
But, okay, so this is interesting. And this is something that you've heard like all your life that you know?
Yes. If you talk about Lvov, Bandera, Zaporizye, fascisty.
Oh, okay.
Fascist.
Now it's making sense that this is not something new. This is
like I feel the whole 20th century, our country is cutting on two parts: the Russian speaking and Ukrainian speaking. In Soviet Union, they know that Ukrainian nationalists are strong, so they set a lot of resources to cut the Ukrainian language, Ukrainian schools, Ukrainian university, Ukrainian books. If you go to the book market, even here in Zaporizye, 9 books of 10 are the Russian, only one will be Ukrainian, or all 10 will be on Russian language.
Right.
So I don't know, even imagine how the Russian speaking can say, oh, the Ukrainian language is killing the Russian.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. That's why I couldn't figure out. Now, I know that there was laws saying that Ukrainian was the only official language before. In other words, you had to use it in court, but that's the only time that I know that you had to use it. And I know they teach it in school. But when you were going to school, was it classes in Russian or totally in Ukrainian?
When I was studying in the school, we don't have any Ukrainian classes. We have a Ukrainian class only when I exit from the school. Like my class was the Russian speaking, and another class was in Ukrainian. So they studying in Ukrainian. So that was an experiment in our school to learn the people in Ukrainian language.
I see.
So I studied on Russian. Like in Kazakhstan, there is a lot of nationalities, and most of it don't speak Kazakh. So they have classes. They have a Russian in one school, Russian speaking classes, Kazakh speaking classes, or maybe Uyghur speaking classes. So that's not a problem.
Right.
I always speak in Russian in Ukraine, so I don't see the troubles to learn Ukrainian if you're speaking Russian.
Yeah.
My family came from Kazakhstan in 1994, and I started to learn Ukrainian language in school. Now I can say that I know Ukrainian even better as a people who live in Ukraine, who was born here. So I think it's all the politic stuff.
What do you feel about Putin? What do you think about him?
Even now with Crimean situation, he's like a Hitler. So Hitler come when Germany was weak, was a crisis, crisis,
right.
Poor, a lot of poor people. They don't have a job.
Right.
They like burning the monies because they don't cost anything.
Right.
When he come, he gives the work. He built a strong Germany.
Right.
It was a military Germany, but the people don't think about it. They want to have a job, to have a food for his families. So I think the same situation in Russia. When Putin comes, the Russia was very weak. Like the President Yeltsin was a drunkard, so he was like a clown in the whole world.
Right.
So the Putin come, he started to build a strong Russia. He decided the question with the Chechnya, with the big blood. But
what do you think about Chechnya? Should they have been able to vote, like Crimea supposedly voted, to be independent?
Of course, because the Chechens, they are not even Slavic people, like I think.
Right.
They're not Russians.
Right.
So this is not the historical Russian part. Like Siberia, like the Far East, they like colonized these territories.
Right.
So like the England have a colonies in Africa. Right. So they have an independence now, but why not give an independence to Yakutia, for example? So the Putin, we'll come back to the question to the Putin.
Right.
Putin is built a strong Russia. he's a good guy for Russians. Like before crisis in Ukraine, I think, Putin a good guy. He's a good president. But now I see that he is walking the same path as Hitler. So he builds a strong economic industry that produced military production.
Right.
So he need to put in some place his military production. So he started in Georgia. Now he continuing here. I don't know where he strikes the next time. Like Ukraine have a strong industry too. So that's, I think, why he come here in Ukraine. Like Donetsk is an industrial city, Zaporizye is industrial city, Kryvyi Rog industrial city, Kharkov industrial city, Odessa is a port, it's the biggest port in the Black Sea. Nikolaev has ships factories.
I mean, there's a lot of things that he would want. Myself, I feel like he just would like to take all of it, if he can. What do you feel, do people here know how he ended the elections for governors, for instance, in Russia in 2004? Do they know that he takes over all the TV networks in
I think
national television networks?
They don't think about it.
Oh, I see.
Like, for some people, the Russians are brothers. Yes, we're the Slavic peoples, Ukrainians and Russians. And the Russian TVs always say that Belarusians, Ukrainians and Russians are the same people, the one nation. So they saying this during the years, and in the minds of a lot of people in Ukraine, they think, oh, we're the brothers, we're the same people. Oh, Bandera, fascist. So it's like a trigger when the Russian speakers or Russian lovers hear something about Ukraine or the nationalist or about Stepan Bandera, like the trigger is on. Fascist, nationalist, Hitler, the same things. Even, the Western civilization don't use a fascist on the Germans.
Right.
They saying the Nazis.
Right.
And the fascist was in Italy.
Right.
But in Soviet Union was socialism as a politic.
Right.
In Nazi Germany was the National Socialism.
Right.
So when Germany attacks Soviet Union, they can't say that one socialist country attacks another. So they put a name.
Fascism.
Fascism. That's the same. It's the same thing as Italy. They're the fascists. And now the people who saying fascist, Ukrainian fascist, they don't imagine what the fashion is. The fashion in the Nazism are looking to each other, but they're different. So if you're saying the fascist on some people, you can't say the communist or the Nazi because it's all totalitarianism. They are different.
Now, part of what started this thing was that Putin has wanted to unite these countries, like you said, under a customs union, for instance. Belarus, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, and Russia.
Okay,
right?
Yeah. Like I see this situation, it's the same before the First World War. You have an industry, you produced goods. You need to sell it to someone, but all the markets are busy for someone. And what you need to do, you can make an economic war to kill your concurrents by the money, or you can start a war. So he need a market in Ukraine, for example. He need Ukrainian industry. So he need like the military bases around the world. So he wants to make the Russia more strongest as the Soviet Union. I think it's some kind of complex. See on the Russia in the whole history. Some kind of complex.
Exactly.
They growing, then never stops. Like, see the whole history, they never stops. Never. They conquering the countries, one another, third, fourth. Never stops. I think it's like they're growing. I don't know where he stops. So I don't know how explain it. I don't even imagine why. Like Ukrainians, 20 years living, they don't join any war, any. Look on the Russia. Chechnya, Приднестровье, Karabakh, Abkhazia, Ossetia, now Ukraine.
But these countries, this is something that a lot of Americans don't know. They don't even talk about it. Putin wanted Ukraine to join in with Belarus and Kazakhstan, for instance, where the dictator has been in power, the same man, for more than 20 years. The guy in Belarus, what's his name?
Lukashenko.
He's been there for 20 years. Do Ukrainians know about Belarus? Do they think it's a dictatorship, or is it a free country, or is Kazakhstan a free country, even though the president in Kazakhstan's been there also for 20 years?
Yes, he's also for 20 years. Okay, I have a friend from Minsk, from Belarus, and he's from the church. He served in the mission in my branch in Donetsk, and then he find a wife there. Then they get married and move to Minsk. But the Belarusian government thinks that his wife is a spy, and don't give her a permission to stay in Belarus for long. And he said, when the Lukashenko is gone, I come back to Minsk. Now I will be living with my family there in Makeyevka, nearby Donetsk. So if you look to the Belarusia, they not so poor. They have Belas, they producing the huge trucks for...
Where do they sell those?
Ex-Soviet countries.
Oh, really? Even like Bulgaria or Romania or something like that?
I don't know. Bulgaria was not in Soviet Union. I'm talking about Russia, Kazakhstan. I was in Kazakhstan.
Okay, so
they have a lot of tractors from Belarusia.
Okay.
They have a lot of big trucks from Belarusia. They have a lot of tires from Belarusia, a lot of buses. So...
All right. So it's the economies are sort of joined already. But they don't use those trucks in Ukraine?
Use. In Donetsk, almost whole new buses from Minsk.
Oh, I see.
Mass factory. Some from the Lviv automobile factory. So in Kazakhs, I asked the Kazakh people, why don't choose another president? They saying we need a king. So it's our national policy. We don't choose another people all 4 years. So we're glad to have one. So that's okay. It's the Kazakh people. Some people who live in a big city like Almaty, it's 2 million people of population. So they some kind more European. They like to have a freedom. So they saying we need another president. But a lot of people in Kazakhstan glad to have one.
They're happy with that.
Yeah, they don't think about it. They think about how to make money. So they have a president. They don't think about those things.
Now, if you had a son right now or a brother that was young and was the age that the Ukrainian army would want him to come into the army to defend against Putin, how would you feel about that?
I am in those age, so
Yes.
yeah. If army needs me, they can call me. But I think the protection of our country is need. We need those things. But I don't want a war.
No.
If they will call me, I will come. If the war started, I will come like a Minuteman.
Right. Now, if Putin did send tanks across, for instance, into eastern Ukraine, into Lugansk or something, do you feel like it's worth fighting against Putin?
Yes, but we need help.
Right.
Like Russia is a big country; they have a strong army. Ukraine don't have an army.
Right.
Like we have all techniques, all tanks, all armor.
You're saying
personnel.
old.
All tanks are old.
I see. Okay.
Like in Kharkiv, they have a factory, a huge tank factory that produced modern tanks. One of the best tanks in the world.
In Kharkov right now.
Yes, but we are selling all those tanks. We sell it to other countries.
I see.
We don't buy it for our army.
Oh, I see.
All tanks in our army are Soviet, or APCs in our army almost. I think almost or all are from the Soviet. So they are old. We can't fight with this technique.
I see.
We don't have an aviation. We don't produce a new like airships.
Right. Do you know anything about anti-tank missiles, or if let's say that there were Russian tanks? I've heard that I read that the armor, the steel